Have you ever heard of a place so remote, so desolate, that it was nicknamed the arse end of nowhere? Well, get this. A tiny, seemingly insignificant weather station in that very spot played one of the most critical roles in modern history, deciding the fate of the D-Day landings in World War II. This is the incredible story of Blacksod Bay, a remote peninsula on the west coast of Ireland. During the war, Ireland was officially neutral, but behind the scenes, a secret agreement was made with the Allies. Ireland would provide crucial weather reports from its Atlantic coast, giving the Allies a massive advantage since most of Europe's weather systems form out over the Atlantic. The man at the heart of this story was Ted Sweeney. He wasn't a military strategist or a high-ranking official. He was the local postmaster and lighthouse keeper, and his daily routine included taking weather readings with his wife, Maureen. They'd measure barometric pressure, temperature, and wind speed, then send the data off in Morse code to Dublin, who would then secretly forward it to the Allied Meteorological Headquarters in the UK. For them, it was just part of the job. They had no idea their reports were going directly to the Supreme Commander of the Allied Forces, General Dwight D. Now, let's set the scene for D-Day. The invasion of Normandy was the largest amphibious assault in history. Everything had to be perfect. They needed low tide at dawn for the landing craft, a full moon the night before for the paratroopers, and most importantly, they needed good weather. A storm could spell disaster, scattering the fleet and grounding the Air Force. The original date set for the invasion was June 5, 1944. All the troops were ready. The ships were loaded. The planes were fueled. The tension was immense. Then, the chief Allied meteorologist, a Scottish man named Group Captain James Stagg, received a report that made his blood run cold. It came from a station designated simply as Station Number 27. This was Ted Sweeney's station at Blacksod Bay. Ted's report on June 3rd showed a sudden, dramatic drop in barometric pressure. It was a clear sign, but a massive storm was brewing in the Atlantic and heading straight for the English Channel. Imagine the pressure on Stagg. He had to stand before Eisenhower and the other top generals and tell them that their meticulously planned invasion, years in the making, had to be stopped. Based on the data from a humble Irish lighthouse keeper, he warned of gale force winds and high seas for June 5th. Other forecasters, particularly the Americans, were more optimistic, but Stagg held his ground, trusting the raw data from the front line of weather observation Blacksod Bay. Eisenhower was faced with an impossible choice. Postponing meant sending thousands of soldiers back to their camps, risking a security leak, and losing the element of surprise. Going ahead meant potentially sending them to their doom in a raging storm. He trusted Stagg's judgment. In one of the most pivotal decisions of the war, he uttered the words, "Okay, we'll postpone." The invasion was delayed by 24 hours, and just as Ted Sweeney's readings predicted, a furious storm battered the English Channel on June 5th. The waves were huge, the winds were howling. If the invasion had gone ahead, the results would have been catastrophic. The German forecasters, lacking the crucial data from the Atlantic, had missed the storm completely. They were so confident that the weather was too bad for an invasion, they actually relaxed their patrols. Some commanders even left their posts to attend war games. But Stagg's forecast wasn't all bad news. He saw something else in the data from Blacksod Bay. He saw a small window of opportunity. The data suggested a brief lull in the weather. A short period of relative calm would arrive on June 6th. On the evening of June 4th, Ted Sweeney sent another report. The pressure was beginning to rise. The wind was changing direction. This was it. This was the signal Stagg was waiting for. He went back to Eisenhower and told him that while the weather wouldn't be perfect, it would be good enough. There would be a window of calm just long enough to launch the invasion. Think about that moment. The fate of millions, the future of Europe, all hanging on the weather readings from a tiny outpost on the Irish coast. Eisenhower looked at his team and made the final call. "Okay, we'll go." And so, in the early hours of June 6, 1944, the Allied Armada set sail. The weather was far from ideal, but it was manageable, just as Stagg had predicted. The Germans were caught completely by surprise. Their own meteorologists had assured them that no invasion was possible for days. Famously, General Ramel, one of their top commanders, was away in Germany celebrating his wife's birthday, confident that the Allies wouldn't dare attack in such conditions. The rest, as they say, is history. D-Day was a success, a brutal and costly one. But it marked the beginning of the end for the Nazi regime in Europe. For years, Ted and Maureen Sweeney had no idea of the monumental impact their work had. They just kept doing their job, sending their daily reports. It wasn't until decades later, when historians started piecing together the full story of D-Day, that the crucial role of Blacksod Bay came to light. In 1994, on the 50th anniversary of D-Day, the UK government finally honored Ted Sweeney. He was presented with a special award, a small token of recognition for a man whose simple, diligent work helped change the course of the world. Even then, Ted remained incredibly humble, saying he was just doing his job. He had simply reported what he saw. This story is a powerful reminder that history is unjust made by generals and politicians in grand war rooms. It's also shaped by ordinary people doing their jobs with dedication and precision. A postmaster and his wife, in one of the most isolated corners of Europe, provided the single most important piece of intelligence for the most important day of the war. Their work saved countless lives and ensured that the D-Day landings weren't a catastrophic failure. So the next time you think of D-Day, remember the soldiers, the sailors, and the airmen. But also remember Ted and Maureen Sweeney, and the useless little weather station at Blacksod Bay, the place that, for one crucial moment, held the fate of the free world in its hands. Thanks so much for watching. If you found this story as fascinating as I did, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more hidden histories. We'll see you in the next one.